Today in Augusta, two very different bills on the table. One would make Maine a sanctuary state. The other would punish municipalities for sanctuary policies. I'm at TD Garden in Boston ahead of Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. And we all know there are a ton of Mainers that love their Bruins, but there's a father and daughter in Saco that really drive home what it means to be a Bruins super fan. They've had this license plate in their family for decades, and they don't plan on getting rid of it anytime soon. While no one would willingly take a glass of this murky Kenduskeag river water and drink it, one local brewery says it's actually the perfect thing for them to use to make the beer that'll soon be coming out of their taps. Pond ice tends to be a bit more choppy, and that's gonna dull down your skates a little bit more, and especially if you're skating on something soupy like this that's got a lot of extra water on the ice, you're going to want to make sure you're drying off your skates as quickly as possible after you're playing, so that they're not sitting in that water and getting rusty. Now, earlier today, as you can imagine, parents flocked to the scene here in Bangor. Just behind me, there was probably a line of cars all up this stretch of parents who were told that all they could do was sit and wait. L'École Française du Maine, the French School of Maine, is one of the 3 French schools in New England certified by the French Ministry of Education. All the teachers there are native French speakers, and it's all French all day for those kids. While that may sound intimidating, the students I spoke to embrace it with an open mind. Est-ce que vous parlez français?
Oui!
Before they're able to truly read or write, these kids are learning French.
Qu'est-ce que c'est votre chose préférée de faire à l'école?
Le travail.
Le travail.
One parent says the immersion school keeps her daughter on her toes.
We're trying to find ways to kind of give her more challenge.
For other parents, it's the right fit because of their international background.
It's a great opportunity for my daughter, I think, growing trilingual, because at home I speak Russian to her, so she already had some experience with a foreign language before.
The founder of the school says students who attend French immersion schools generally fit into 3 even groups. They have a parent or grandparent with a French background, they've lived abroad, or their families simply value speaking more than one language.
60% of the world speak at least 2 languages. In Western Europe or in North America, we're really the exception.
According to a Pew Research study from last year, only 20% of K-12 students in America study a foreign language. That's compared with an average of 92% in Europe.
J'aime parler français.
Research has shown that foreign language study in early childhood years improves brain function. Studies also show that learning a second language at any age can help protect people against Alzheimer's.
C'est un animal qui répète toutes les choses qu'on dit.
But science aside, learning another language can simply open our eyes.
I think every time that you get exposure to another language, you get a sense of how big the world is and how many different kinds of cultures there are, and for them, how many different kinds of children.
Only 10 states and Washington, D.C. make foreign language learning a high school graduation requirement. Maine is not one of those states.
We're really in an unprecedented era where information is being weaponized.
The former digital director for Senator Angus King's 2018 campaign is now committing her career to fighting disinformation.
There are groups out there, whether it's a foreign actor or a domestic group, that's using social media manipulation in order to change the information that voters and consumers have when they go to make rational decisions.
That's terrifying.
It's definitely an unprecedented era.
After studying Russian interference in the 2016 election, Lisa Kaplan expects more of the same in 2020.
What we learned in 2016 is that this is a real threat and that it's happening. And we can expect the same thing to happen in 2020.
It's something that keeps her former boss awake at night as well.
I'm worried about the elections of 2020 because the Russians learned that with a relatively small expenditure of money, they can really screw things up over here.
For someone sitting at home right now who thinks that they wouldn't fall victim to this kind of disinformation, what do you say to them?
Everybody is susceptible to disinformation. The way this works is a foreign adversary or a domestic group is targeting you based on your own biases. We are all susceptible.
Disinformation isn't a new concept. What's new is how much is being used and the speed at which it's spreading. Deep fakes, on the other hand, have really just emerged in the past 5 years.
You see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele.
While altered videos like this appear highly sophisticated,
no, it's not sophisticated technology at all.
UMaine computer science professor Roy Turner says really all you need is a large database of info, computing power, and time to pull it off.
Probably if you wanted to make truly good fakes that no one could tell apart, you might need the resources of something like a large company or something at the moment. But that gets, as computing resources get more available, it becomes easier and easier.
How can the regular person at home protect themselves against disinformation campaigns?
What we can do to combat this is to read critically, to check the source, to look at the dates, to look at the author, and to be able to read critically to understand what it is that we're actually reading and whether or not we want to trust it.
Guilford, Maine has seen more than 60 inches of snow this winter, and for a hardy group of kids, that means firing up their sleds and taking a path to the classroom that no school bus could go down.
Driving gets boring, and why not snowmobile?
When there's snow on the ground and groomed trails nearby, going to school becomes a thrill.
More of a rush.
A group of students at Piscataquis Community High School in Guilford starts most winter days with a rush, each snowmobiling, one making a 17-mile journey to the classroom.
Just something different, and then gets us to hang out.
For years, an average of 10 students snowmobile to this school in the winter. While kids used to have to be 16 to ride, starting this year, the group has gotten younger.
This year, a bunch of students in the student council petitioned the school board to lower the age to 14, which is the state law. And so now we have 14-year-olds that are riding.
The snowmobile ride gives these kids a jump on the morning.
If you've ever seen high school kids' first period, most of them are still waking up. The people that ride their sleds, they are fully awake and their cheeks are rosy and they're ready to go.
And it makes the day fly by.
By the end of class here, last period, oh man.
You get butterflies in your stomach and stuff because you just want to go riding.
But these thrill seekers ride with caution.
You just gotta be careful.
Yeah. As long as you know how to ride, you're fine.
And know where you're riding.
And with faculty eyes upon them, they're on their best behavior on school property.
They're pretty hardy and they have a good time and they're very well behaved.
Well, for the most part. Little did he know his mom and principal were watching from the parking lot, so he got a little refresher on the rules, that guy who pulled that stunt. But Principal Keene says students that ride to school must register for a permit, which requires parental approval. If a kid misbehaves on the snowmobile, the permit's taken away for the rest of the winter, but he says he's never had to do that.